Welcome back to Brendan's 4-minute bite-sized learning videos. This is series number 2 where the focus is on mental health, awareness and issues. And in this episode number 3 we're going to look at managing depression and anxiety. In this episode you'll learn about what is depression and anxiety. You'll know what signs to look out for, and you'll be able to help others who are suffering with depression or anxiety. We understand from the last episode about Maslow's hierarchy the connection between people's needs and their emotions and how that impacts mental health. If we look at the current situation with COVID, you have a lot of people who are not well or who are at home on their own or maybe even in hospital who do not feel any love or belonging because they don't have their family members around them. And that can lead for some people to depression or anxiety. Another element is when you look at the lack of respect or recognition. Look at the healthcare workers at the moment. Many of them are working very hard in very difficult circumstances, but are they getting the recognition or the respect that they should be getting? So what is depression? Well, depression shows itself in many ways. It can be sadness, it can be somebody feeling very lonely, it can be an empty feeling, it can be a feeling of hopelessness, and it can be also a situation where you're just not interested in doing anything. If you suffer from any of these, you could be suffering from depression. So what can you do to reduce depression? Well, it could be depression that you have, or it could be depression that a member of your family or your friends have. First thing to do is to speak to someone you trust about how you're feeling. Very often, just talking to somebody can really alleviate the problem and make you feel that much better. Interesting enough, natural daylight lifts depression, so try and get out of the house every day. Very often we stay in the house because we're worried about the COVID. Don't get out, get some fresh air, see what's going on in the world, and it will make you feel a lot better. However, if you're feeling very depressed, then you really need to seek professional help. There are a number of things you can also do to reduce depression. Exercise really helps. Try and get up to 30 minutes a day. You will feel good and your body will really appreciate it. Also, watch out for those sugary foods and fatty foods. It's too easy to eat quick meals and they're not good for you. All they do is give you a short-term high. Another element to consider is to reduce your alcohol intake. Yeah, it's good to have a few drinks, particularly in stressful situations. But what people tend to find happens is they start to drink more and more. And remember, if you drink too much, all it does is add to depression. Being aware of depression in other people. Depression makes it difficult for people to connect on a deep emotional level, particularly people they love. And it's also very common for people with depression to be angry and say hurtful things to other people they're close to. You have to remind yourself that this is depression talking, not them, so try not to take it personally. And sometimes when our partner doesn't want to help in the home, it can lead to arguments. But very often depression can make any task very difficult to do for the person suffering from depression. So let's take a look at anxiety. Well, anxiety affects people in many different ways. Worries about the future, a potential job loss, exams or financial worries all result in anxiety for many people. And something to keep in mind, just because you're okay and coping doesn't mean that everybody feels the same way. Some of the most common signs of anxiety include a dry mouth or throat, muscle pains, sleep issues, or sweating and trembling. So some tips to reduce anxiety. Try to understand and identify what's causing your anxiety. Once you're aware of it, then you can take steps to avoid it. Ensure you're eating properly. People who are anxious often don't eat regular meals because they're so worried about other things they forget about themselves. Make sure you exercise regularly. It really does help reduce anxiety. And for some people, relaxation therapies can be great, like yoga or meditation. So in this episode, we've learned to understand the impact of depression and anxiety. We've identified the signs of depression and anxiety, and we've looked at tips to help people suffering from depression or anxiety. In the next episode, episode number 4, we'll be looking at financial issues and negativity. I look forward to seeing you then.